So, former Attorney General Bill Barr is the corrupt gift that just keeps on giving. Wish we could return some of these gifts, but a federal court just told us once again that Bill Barr is unworthy of belief. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So, former Attorney General Bill Barr has been caught again deceiving the court and, by extension, deceiving the American people. Now, before I go to the new Washington Post reporting, let me set this one up because it's a little bit convoluted. So, remember when Bill Barr lied to us about the Mueller report? Federal court judge Reggie Walton said, he lied, he deceived, he dissembled, he mischaracterized, and he said Bill Barr lacks candor. And remember, Bill Barr told us all, no obstruction, Donald Trump can't be charged with any crimes. Well, it turns out that Bill Barr used as a basis to say, he can't be charged with any obstruction, a DOJ memo that had been written. And Bill Barr said, it's a secret memo. I can't show it to anybody, but trust me, it's an analysis of, the facts and the law, and it reaches the conclusion that, Donald Trump just can't be charged with obstructing justice, with obstructing Bob Mueller's probe of all things Trump-Russia. But just trust me. Well, there's an organization called CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, and they didn't trust Bill Barr. And they filed suit, Freedom of Information Act, seeking this memo that Bill Barr said, we can't show you, but trust me, it says Donald Trump can't be charged with obstructing justice. Against that backdrop, here is the new reporting from the Washington Post about how a federal appeals court just smacked down Bill Barr again. Headline: Court orders release of DOJ memo on Trump obstruction in Mueller probe. And that article begins, a federal appeals court has ordered the release of a secret Justice Department memo discussing whether President Donald Trump obstructed the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. The unanimous panel decision issued Friday echoes that of a lower court judge, Amy Berman Jackson, who last year accused Bill Barr's Justice Department of dishonesty in its justification for keeping the memo hidden. Now I'm going to take a pause and we're going to jump over to the earlier reporting about Judge Amy Berman Jackson's ruling slamming Bill Barr, accusing him of dishonesty. And then we're going to go back to this new reporting about how the Appellate court just upheld Judge Amy Berman Jackson's ruling. So here is the earlier Washington Post reporting. Headline: Judge blasts Barr, Justice Department for disingenuous handling of secret Trump obstruction memo. And that article reads in part, a federal judge has accused the Justice Department and then Attorney General William Barr of misleading the court and the public to hide how he decided that President Donald Trump should not be charged with obstructing Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson of Washington, D.C., ordered the release Monday of a 2019 memo prepared by the department's Office of Legal Counsel. Barr and a string of Justice Department officials had sought to keep the memo secret, asserting it was part of the department's internal decision-making process before he selectively and misleadingly announced the Mueller report's findings that March. Judge Amy Berman Jackson wrote in a blistering opinion after viewing the memo and other evidence that the department's claims are so inconsistent with evidence in the record They are not worthy of credence. So she ordered it released, but that decision was appealed, and now the appellate court just sided with Judge Amy Berman Jackson, and they also slammed Bill Barr. So let's go back to the first Washington Post reporting. I know it takes some time to walk through this one, and then we're going to recap after we get through these two Washington Post articles and kind of put it all into layman's terms. Back to the new Washington Post reporting. A panel of 3 judges said that whether or not there was bad faith, the government created a misimpression and could not stop release under the Freedom of Information Act. The memo was written by 2 senior Justice Department officials for then Attorney General William Barr, who subsequently told Congress that there was not enough evidence to charge Trump with obstruction of Special Counsel Bob Mueller's inquiry. A redacted version was released last year, but left under seal the legal and factual analysis. Department of Justice officials argued that the document was protected because it involved internal deliberations over a prosecutorial decision, but friends, that turned out to be untrue. It had nothing to do with internal decisions about a prosecutorial decision. Rather, the discussion in the memo was over how Barr would publicly characterize the obstruction evidence Mueller had assembled. The Justice Department conceded on appeal. In other words, the memo was all about how Bill Barr would spin it to Congress and to the American people. The article continues. The court's review of the memorandum revealed that the department, in fact, never considered bringing a charge of obstruction against Donald Trump, the panel wrote. Instead, the memorandum concerned a separate decision that had gone entirely unmentioned by the government in its submissions to the court. And that decision, what, if anything, to say to Congress and the public about the Mueller report? In other words, how to spin the Mueller report. Admittedly, friends, that is kind of a convoluted tale, so let's do it again in layman's speak. Bob Mueller investigated Donald Trump and the Trump campaign for contacts and coordination with Russia, by which they sought and obtained Russia's assistance in the 2016 presidential election. And Bob Mueller found, quote, substantial evidence of obstruction by Trump. But Bill Barr didn't care. Bill Barr was going to protect Donald Trump at all costs. So Bill Barr falsely announced no obstruction, no evidence that Donald Trump obstructed justice. Donald Trump can't be charged with any crime. And Bill Barr pointed to a secret memo, a memo that he had some Department of Justice lawyers draft up, and he claimed this memo was a detailed analysis of the facts and the law and led to only one conclusion, that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, no obstruction, he can't be charged with any crime. And Bill Barr said, just trust me on this because the memo's secret. We're not going to show it to anybody because it involves, prosecutorial deliberations. Well, Judge Amy Berman Jackson figuratively wrestled that secret memo away from Bill Barr's Department of Justice. Turns out it had no prosecutorial discussions about the facts and the law and about whether Donald Trump committed obstruction of justice or he didn't. Rather, the memo was all about how Bill Barr could spin the Mueller report to Congress and to the American people to try to protect Donald Trump. And that is why Judge Amy Berman Jackson said essentially Bill Barr is a great big liar. He can't be credited. And a 3-judge appellate court just said the same thing. and they said, give the entire memo over to CREW, the organization that filed a Freedom of Information Act request seeking that memo. So now we see, once again, Bill Barr is exposed as deceiving Congress, deceiving the American people, corruptly protecting Donald Trump from being held accountable for his crimes. You know, I really don't want to hear anything from Bill Barr on his reputation rehabilitation tour, where he's now telling the January 6th committee, perhaps telling a federal grand jury, all about Donald Trump's misdeeds, his crimes, his corruption. You know, the only way I'm willing to listen to anything Bill Barr says is for him to be charged with his own crimes, plead guilty, accept responsibility, and then, Bill, you can talk. You can talk as a cooperating witness. Because frankly, that is the only way anything Bill Barr says today could be credited. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.